Is there a place for some sort of machine learning model in everything? How do we find out where are the places where you should or should not use AI? And then once you have it, how do you use it effectively? We're in a hype cycle that everyone's just wants to put AI everywhere without necessarily understanding why or how it should be used. Architects have this responsibility that you're a technical leader and you have to have that mindset of continuous learning. You have to be out there and finding the new ideas, exploring what you don't know yet.
Very nice to meet you, Thomas. I'm happy you're here for our little chat on the topics of your talk and other things around the software architecture gathering. So please, Thomas, introduce yourself. What do you do for a living?
Nice to meet you too, Richard. I'm Thomas Betts. I live in Denver, Colorado. I've been a software professional for over 25 years, primarily C# and the .NET stack. Currently, I'm a laureate software engineer and an application architect at Blackbaud, which is the largest company providing software for the social impact community. And then in addition to my day job, I also am the lead editor for architecture and design at InfoQ. You can find our writings on infoq.com. I co-host the InfoQ podcast, and currently I'm a co-chair of the QCon San Francisco software conference. One of the functions of InfoQ and QCon is to seek out information from the few elites that have it and put that out, for the masses to see. We like to think of ourselves as information Robin Hoods. So for the past 8 years or so, that's been my contribution to the software architecture community, is finding those little things about what's the new and innovative ideas in software and spreading the news about them.
As in this function, as an editor for InfoQ, you've probably lived through this thing that hypes are in the industry. So where in the Gartner hype cycle are we with Gen AI? What do you think?
We're definitely at the peak. I don't think we're quite in the trough of disillusionment yet. I think everyone is jumping on the bandwagon, trying to do stuff. One of the points that I have in my presentation is you're hearing from your product owners, your CTOs, your CEOs, maybe your customers, just put AI in it. Doesn't matter how, just please add AI to whatever you're doing. And that's a pretty good sign that we're in a hype cycle, that everyone's just wants to put AI everywhere without necessarily understanding why or how it should be used.
I didn't expect that you would be so decided on this, but very cool. How do you feel about this this resource consumption, and I mean in terms of funding and money that goes into this hype, but also actually the physical resources? So we live in times of climate change and climate crisis. How do you feel about this question of is that balance, the amount of resources we as Western societies currently let flow into this technology? How do you feel about this?
Yeah, it's something that I definitely do a little bit of research on. There was a book a few years ago called The Atlas of AI, which came out before even ChatGPT was a big hit, and it talked about where are all the resources we don't see, the second and third tier effects. So people think, oh, the cloud bill is expensive, and they equate how much money did we spend running these services, running the AI models, building the AI models, how much electricity was consumed, how much coal was burned to do that. But also looking down to where are we getting the materials that are what goes into building the hardware. So there's a lot of environmental impact for all of our computing needs, and AI is kind of pushing the boundaries. If you look, there's a report of how much environmental impact all the cloud vendors were having, and they were trying to reduce it year by year. And with the uptick of AI, they just broke that curve entirely. And now we're seeing an increase as opposed to a decrease in carbon footprint because of AI. And that's not something that I hope we are able to find ways to fix that, and we don't just keep building on this way.
Maybe it's too early to judge, but I try to get something out of you maybe. So do you feel that the benefits of the technology, you say it's probably a tool that we're going to add to our tool belt in the future, but do you now see that these general costs on the environment and so on, and the benefits that have actually been reaped, are they balanced yet, or is there a disbalance?
They're not balanced yet, but I think you can look back at our history of most new innovative software technologies, or most technology in general. It gets used for a while, and then people find ways to adapt it. And sometimes that's from external pressures of saying, hey, we need to have a better environmental footprint. We need to consider those things, and getting the people who are using it and building it and asking for the new features to consider those effects as well. We don't know where we're at right now. It's going back to that hype cycle. It's still fairly new, so we can't regulate it. We can't get people to change their behavior until they know how they should be using it. And once we get past the throw it on everything and we start using it in very pragmatic ways, then we can start tuning it down and saying, okay, now that we're using it in the right places, how do we use it more efficiently?
Do you believe there are concepts emerging from the field of AI, and mostly generative AI is what we're talking about? Are there concepts emerging that have this quality of, well, a good software engineer probably should know that, like talking about coupling and cohesion or design patterns? So like basic principles that emerge from this world. Do you see them at the horizon?
I think we're just starting to get there. Like any new technology, people don't know exactly how to use it, when to use it. If you had a product manager come to you and say, oh, I need a database in my application, you'd start asking questions and say, well, why do you need a database? What kind of database do you need? We understand those trade-off questions. We don't yet have the ingrained memory of here's how we answer those questions for AI. When should I use a large language model? Does it even make sense? How do I keep my data secure and safe? Those are a lot of questions, and we haven't been asking them long enough. We don't know what the questions are. And that's what I hope my presentation is going to cover a little bit at the conference is how do we find out where are the places where you should or should not use AI? And then once you have it, how do you use it effectively?
Nice. So we're still early on in this exploration of what is going to remain as long-term concepts to consider. Will AI mechanisms like machine learning, neural networks, large language models, other models, all these types of tools, will they be a common thing, as in widespread normal part of most software applications in the future? Do you think it's going to be such a normal part of almost every application we build?
Every application might be a bit of a stretch, but going to my database analogy, many applications do have some form of data store. So is there a place for some sort of machine learning model in everything? There might be. It's like, I don't even think about applications that have a spell check feature anymore. I have it in my IDE when I'm writing code. But does everything need a spell checker? No. But a spell checker should be a little module I can just drop in when I'm working with language and text. If I have something like that in my application where a large language model or Gen AI is the right thing to do, I should be able to have a component, a product I just build and drop in and start using. If you think of them as just another library you can call, I send input in, I get output out, those things should be pretty commoditized. And I think we are going to see that happen more and more. I'd like it to see more of the specialized use, not the giant GPT-4. It's got, 80 billion parameters and lots of resource usage. These things can be pretty small. And that's when you start seeing, oh, this specialized model that I need for my application, I can get one of those off the shelf now. And that makes sense. And that's what we're going to see down the road.
Apart from your talk, are there other speakers and talks that you are already looking forward to?
I wouldn't call out any specific one. I looked over the list from past years and this year, and I was just really impressed with the caliber of the people who are going to be speaking. These are people that I have followed for years. Some of them I've interviewed for InfoQ, and I've met personally, and I've had really engaging discussions with them. And I know that almost every session I can see on the agenda is something that I'm going to learn from. And I'm looking forward to a lot of the speakers that I haven't met before. Just to say you're in that caliber of talks, you're going to have something good to share with us.
So are you, in general, a conference goer? And if yes, why? What do you enjoy about it?
I try and do maybe 1 or 2 conferences a year if I can fit them in. I've been active with QCon, especially in the last decade, as an attendee, as a reporter, as an organizer. I always like the hallway track the chance outside the session to get to know people, whether it's the presenters, the other attendees, where you just get to share. It's like, here's the problem I'm working on. How would you discuss this? How would you solve the problem? And you just, that sharing of ideas, that, getting more knowledge. I think architects have this responsibility that you're a technical leader, and you have to have that mindset of continuous learning. You have to be out there and finding the new ideas, exploring what you don't know yet. And you can get some of that from reading blogs, reading articles, picking up a book. But there's also a lot to be gained from actually interacting with people in that environment, and sitting through a session, talking to the presenters, talking to the other attendees, just really has an extra depth to it that you don't get from just perusing a YouTube video, maybe.
What was the reason for you to come up with your current talk? So was there some kind of event that triggered, I want to actually talk about this?
I think it was just the general sense of the, spray AI on top of everything. And whether it makes sense or not, please add AI to my product. And, I hear that from a lot of people I've talked to. And you have to wonder, does this make sense? And as an architect, how do I come back and give a good reasoned technical answer to say, it doesn't make sense in this case, maybe we should do something different? How do I use this effectively and safely in our application? And the idea that we just want to look innovative, so we have to start using AI. If you use it inappropriately, you're going to have a negative effect. So how do we equip the technical leaders, the architects, the engineers, to be able to have those discussions with product owners, CEOs, CTOs, and answer, here's the basis of how we can use this effectively. If we can get more people to level up what they can do. And so I work in social impact space, and the ability to let our customers write a better letter to the donors that then brings in more money to the charity, that's a good use. That's a good social impact. And the ability to write well and write effectively isn't something that everybody has. You might be really good at running the business and running that nonprofit, but you might not be good at writing. And that's where large language models are good at writing, and they can write a better letter than you might be able to.
So we're talking about appropriate uses based on what these systems and models were actually really developed for, what they truly excel at.
Yeah, and the counter to that is using it for something they're not good at. They're not good at math. You should not ask it to do really complex math. It will make up an answer, and people see that as a hallucination, and that's the model being wrong. Understanding that all of this technology is based on the idea of predicting the next word. And it did its job. That's not a bug, that's a feature. It gave you a response. But if you were expecting it to add up your income statement for the year, don't do that. Like, use traditional mathematical processing to actually add up numbers. Don't ask it to give a summation. Now, if you can feed it the data and say, can you tell me about this? And you wanted to interpret it, that's probably okay. It's like, oh, well, this project is over budget because I can see this number is less than that number. That's fine. Use it for the language purposes, but there's this perception that it's able to do more than it can, and all it does is predict words. So find the places where you want to leverage the language capabilities, and that's where Gen AI really takes off.
You'll be there in November, and what aspect of your appearance are you mostly interested in?
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how my presentation is received. I'd like to hear the opinions of the other speakers and attendees. There's a lot of opinions in my talk based on the things I've learned and what I've been exposed to. I'm looking forward to seeing how other people have experienced this, and if they think I'm right or wrong. I could go either way, and I don't know, but I'd like to get a sense of that. I'm looking forward to talking about it with other people at the conference.
All right, Thomas. So I'm looking forward to meeting you in person because I will be in Berlin as well. See you there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting you too, Richard, and everybody else at the conference. So we'll see you in November.